Now, I counted in the research 26 members past of the gun club. So I
Jesus.
won't go through them all, but you can
It's a pretty
imagine there's a
large
bit of.
club that they've got going on over there.
Yeah, yeah. The only constant being Jeffrey Lee Pierce, who is what we've described in this channel as a character. Uh,
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. John over there, Andy here, and we are going to dig into some music, as we are wont to do. John, what is the name of the band? What is the name of the track that you're going to have me go off and listen to?
are you aware of a band called The Gun Club?
Yes, I believe we've discussed them, probably on camera and most certainly off. So yeah, I am familiar with the Gun Club. I don't know if I'm really aware of any of their songs, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'd have to give them a go and a listen to tell you that for sure.
Well, if you were, it would be this one, which is just to explain, my dog is here because we're recording on the first Saturday in November when lots of idiots are setting off fireworks and having a wonderful time. I don't know how antsy he is, and it's just me and him in the house, so I've let him access in. He's actually more concerned with getting food than he is with fireworks at the moment, so apologies if he sort of interrupts things. But I'm sort of giving him a bit more of a free rein tonight because of all the explosions in the sky. But he seems all right.
Good.
Anyway, yeah, so if you were familiar with any of the songs, it would be this track, which is Sex Beat.
Oh, Sex Beat. All right. Well, doesn't sound familiar, isn't ringing any bells. I guess I'll really know once I hit play, but let me go give this thing a spin and I'll come back and let you know if I've heard it, and if not, what my experience was like giving it a first listen. All right. It starts off with this kind of chugging technique on the guitar that is very reminiscent of that kind of sick punk style. Now it's a little less edgy or abrasive, but it still sounds lovely and familiar. So let's press on.
Johnny's got a lot in his eyes and Shirley's got a lot on her lips. Jake's got a monkey shine on his head and Deborah Ann's got a tiger in her hips. They can twist.
Okay, this lyrical content, man. I don't know if I'm going to catch all this. It's not exactly, this is far from Busta Rhymes, but it's coming out fairly quickly, and I'm just catching references to people's names and parts of their body. Is it eyes, lips, hips, head, something like that? All right, let's take this back and see if I can catch any more. And if I don't, then that's what John's for. So let's go.
Johnny's got a lot in his eyes and Shirley's got a lot on her lips. Jake's got a monkey shine on his head and Deborah Ann's got a tiger in her hips. They can twist and turn, they can move and burn, they can throw themselves against the wall, but they creep for what they need, and they explode to the car, and then they move. Sex beat, go! Very stupid like I told you, very stupid like you saw, very stupid as the simple thought of ever thinking at all. And all the mind, all the soul, all the body, all we know, all the things that should have made us whole, all the colorless security was only so it could go and move. Move!
I don't know what it is. I heard it earlier in the song. I think I checked. It was like around the 30-something second mark. But that like, that just that revving motif on the guitar. Again, I've heard that in so many punk-like songs in the past. But I don't know. It's like a nostalgic itch I didn't know I wanted scratched. Because I heard it, it just made me smile now both times that I've heard it. So let's just take that back a little bit. It's like, and moved. All right, yeah, this is a fun track. I don't know. It sounds like, I mean, I know the name is probably coming into play here, but talking about like youthful romps, I think is what I was catching there, which sounds sexual in nature, right? So, yeah, let's press on and see if I can make any more sense of this, these very interesting lyrics.
And all the mind, all the soul, all the body, all we know, all the things that should have made us home. All the colorless security was only so it could go and move, move. Sex beat, drop. And yes, you do look cool inside the floodlights of blue. My tropical apartment's bed, you're sacrificial cool.
You just say tropical apartment bed? Oh, God. I've lived a fairly, you know, I'm not old, but I've been around for a while, and I don't know if I've ever heard anyone describe their bed that way. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm taking that back. That is really interesting. Let's maybe a little bit more to see if I can definitely catch that.
And yes, you do look cool inside the floodlights of blue. You make my tropical apartment's bed, you're sacrificial cool. My body in the water and my heart is in your hand. So this is the way you choose to send me to the judgment land, so you can't move, move. Oh, sex beat, go.
Like little rap songs.
And every day at 3, you throw me down by the Christmas tree. I watch your lights blink on and off while you start your fun with me. I know your reasons, and I know your goals. We can fuck forever, but you will never get my soul. So you can move, so you can.
Man, if you find somebody that's gonna fuck you forever, it's not the worst transaction in the world just to cough up your soul in exchange. I mean, isn't that kind of the idea, along with the love and, you know, the intimacy and the connection? But that's, come on, it's not that big of a price to pay. I
know your reasons, and I know your goals. We can fuck forever, but you will never get my soul. So you can move, so you can move, so you can move, so you can move, so you can.
Interesting little number. Yeah, odd lyrics. I mean, I caught bits that kind of made sense, and plenty that didn't. So, gonna have to put out the John Bat signal on lyrical content for this one to clear some of this up. I love the punk edginess of this. Super simple and effective. You know, it's in the same way that the Kinks song had this classic Southern blues, which was nothing groundbreaking to these ears, yet still wholly welcomed by me because it's a sound that I like. You could cut and paste that reaction or opinion, except catered to this sort of classic punk aesthetic, and you know, paste it as well here because it's the same thing. Like, I've heard guitars and, you know, snappy little guitar numbers and tight drum snare rolls and all that before, and a early punk and even stuff that's come out since to replicate that sound. And every time I hear it, I really enjoy it. So there's no difference here. Very guitar and drum driven, like I mentioned, but man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed that sound. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like, again, the title is obviously coming into play here, but so are the lyrics. After having given a listen, it seemed like a lot of allusion to a little sexual intercourse. Whether it was, in a what sounded like an interesting name or description of a waterbed in an apartment, or beneath the old Christmas tree. Sounded like there was a lot of romping going on in this track. But I don't know if it was like there was also this idea of like sex in exchange for your soul. Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. I'm not going to make lyrical sense of this in one go. Could sit here and waffle on for a while, which John and I are both want to do at times, but I'll never really land on what exactly the meaning was. So I know a man who could probably help me out with that, as well as giving me some really interesting factoids about the band that perhaps we haven't touched on, and certainly maybe the album, or at the very least this song. So let's get back to John and chop it up.
Arthur Schopenhauer, he's back. So you've had to listen to Sex Beat by Zigon Club. One, have you heard it before? And two, what do you think about it?
I don't think I've heard it before, but I heard things that I've heard before in this song. So a lot like in the way that Kinks was like this callback to the blues roots in America. This it sounded very punk roots. So that was, I guess, what was scratching my nostalgic itch throughout this track. And so yeah, I liked it a lot. I just don't think that I can say with 100% certainty that I have heard it before. What I think I've heard is other things very similar to it, which I don't know if that speaks to how influential they are or were, or if they were trying to replicate something themselves when they wrote this. I'm not sure when this was released, but I do know enough to think that it was the probably the former and not the latter, or the other way around there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Will you shut the fuck up?
Right into your arms. It's like, how could you ask me to shut the fuck up?
You can chill out. Go on, sit down. Good boy.
So as I recall, I think we've brought up this band when discussing other bands, and that this band has been an influence to some modern or more modern punk bands. So I am inclined to think that this is a sound that would then influence other people down the line. But anyway, this song, my first reaction to it, starts off with this sort of clipped but chugging technique on the guitar that is very reminiscent of that classic punk guitar trope we've all heard before. But this is, to me, in this version of it, it's slightly less abrasive than most examples that I'm reminded of. I'm not to say that this doesn't have edge or anything, but it feels like some of the jaggedness of other punk songs that use that technique is a little polished. We only make it to the 5 second mark before the rest of the band joins in, which does add a bit of edge to the song that it lacked during those opening few seconds of the track. The lyrics start coming pretty fast. I mean, it's no Busta Rhymes here or anything, but the lyrics are fairly rapid. And I'm trying to catch them as the verse unfolds. He rattles off a bunch of names like Johnny, Shirley, Jake, and Deborah Ann, I think. And something about what they each have in or on certain parts of their bodies. I think there's like eyes, lips, head, and hips. Whatever's going on. Yeah. Whatever's going on here, I haven't a clue. But I do like the way it sounds. Around the 37-second mark, the singer delivers the line, and they move before the guitar runs through this little revving motif. I swear I've heard that before plenty of times too. And it's really enjoyable. Again, I think this is probably the moment where it's the familiarity and the technique that again tickled some sort of nostalgic bone in me when I heard it. So yeah, I really did enjoy that bit as well. Made me smile. The next stanza seems to focus on how stupid they are. Then he goes on to sing of their mind, their souls, and their bodies. And we all know, and then something about all the things that make us whole. Ugh. But despite catching a decent amount of the lyrics and the lyrical content, I'm still not sure what he's saying. I'm hoping you can probably clear that up for me at some point, John. Pretty please. Again, at the end of the stanza, the music shifts. He sings "Sex Beat Drop." As the music slightly downshifts for a brief moment before ramping back up into the next verse. So this is quite a short little number, and he's packing a lot into the verse as far as like lyrical content is concerned. During this verse, the singer reassures us that yes, we do look cool by the floodlights so blue. But then he sings of some tropical apartment bed being a sacrificial pool. And I can now mark that off my Life on Earth bingo card because it wasn't until today, November 1st, the year of our Lord 2025, at the age of 42, that I've ever heard the phrase tropical apartment bed. Yeah, no clue. Maybe a water bed. And you know what? The next line, he all but confirms that when he sings, "Body in the water and heart is in your hands." So I'm thinking maybe they're, in the thrust of waterbed sex, which is way more awkward than you would think it is. So yeah, he then goes on to "Sex Beat Go." I believe is the next sort of, because he switches it from, I think, drop or go or something like that the word that follows "Sex Beat" changes throughout the song. And another round of choppy chord progression before we get treated to a final stanza of lyrics. Shit's only getting weirder, this time with an allusion to being thrown down by the Christmas tree, and then something about watching your lights blink while you start your fun with me. I assume this is a nod to a little nooner under the tree around the holiday season. Um, this is all but confirmed when he sings, "We can fuck forever, but you will never get my soul," to which I suggest rethinking that stance. If you meet a partner willing to do that, you might just want to hand the soul over to them at that point. Sounds like a pretty solid deal to me, anyway. He then repeats, "So you could move," a few times before dismounting with another sex beat as the song comes to an end. Yeah, I really like the punk edginess of this track. Simple but effective, very drum and guitar driven as punk typically is. Punk is rudimentary. It's great, like a lot of it is, but it is very like there's not a lot you need. It's like a very simple but good. It's like Mexican food. There's only a few ingredients that go into it, but my God, it's so good when you get the final outcome. So yeah, it's got kind of got that going for it. But I feel like there's some greater meaning to the lyrical content here that I've not grasped onto just in one go. So I will need your help with that, John. Please tell me a bit more about this track and the band. And I should say, I know mole has like 30 some ingredients in it, but let's not kid ourselves. A good taco has only got a handful. But yeah, go on, John.
You keep digging. Um,
The worst part is I'm going to get myself in trouble with my wife.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, thanks for that, Andy. Yeah, this is a real fun tune, and they are a fun band, and very important, as you quite rightly said, very influential as well. So I shall get into this. The Gun Club, an American rock band from LA, which is Los Angeles for other people, formed in 1979. And they're labeled as punk, post-punk, psychobilly, alt rock, punk blues, and cowpunk. The Gun Club were formed by Jeffrey Lee Pierce with a friend who happened to be the chief of the Ramones fan club and fellow music enthusiasts, Brian Tristan, also known as Kid Congo Powers,
Of course.
which I think few people have heard of him. By the way, Pierce himself was the former head of the Blondie fan club in Los Angeles. Back when fan clubs were a big thing because you didn't have that access, and Morrissey famously was the president of the New York Dolls fan club in the UK.
Oh,
Yeah,
did not
anything
know
to be
that.
important, eh? So the Gun Club's actually precursor band. They were called the Creeping Ritual, and they formed in 1979. Along with Pierce, the first lineup consisted of Brian Tristan and Don Snowden, who was at the time a music critic for the LA Times, and Brad Dunning, who is now a prominent designer and writer. In April 1980, they changed their name to the Gun Club on a suggestion by Pierce's roommate, Circle Jerk singer Keith Morris. Kid Congo commented that early Gun Club incarnation were too arty for rock people, far too rock for arty people, too cuckoo for the blues crowd, too American for punk. So there you go. So they continued on this the vein, and they released their debut album, Fire of Love, in 1981. So that's when this track comes from. Now, I counted in the research 26 members past of the Gun Club.
Jesus.
So I won't go through them all, but you can
It's a
imagine.
pretty
there's a
large
bit of-
club that they've got going on over there.
Yeah. The only constant being Jeffrey Lee Pierce, who is what we have described in this channel as a character. So for this iteration of this song, Jeffrey Lee Pierce, vocals, slide guitar, Ward Dotson, guitar, slide guitar, Rob Ritter, bass, and Terry Graham, drums. As you will notice, they're from 1979 to 1981. None of the same personnel apart from Mr. Pierce. So he's managed to replace the whole band in less than 2 years. Although he would later return to the band, the album does not feature founding guitarist Kid Congo Powers, who at that time had been asked to join the Cramps in late 1980. So very interesting stuff. Oh, and by the way, later on, there's a member of the band joins in 82, 83, Patricia Morrison, who we mentioned in our Damned episode. She spent a little time with the Gun Club, and then she relocated in the UK and joined Sister Mercy before joining the Damned as well, and all sorts of other stuff. Very interesting character, which we'll meet her again at some point in our journey. So this album is considered groundbreaking and being the first of its kind to combine the hard, stripped-down sound of punk rock with American roots music. In turn, this innovation helped create the punk blues style, as well as inspiring countless garage rock bands. And several musicians have cited Fire of Love as an influence. I didn't write this down, but it was somebody, one of my research was saying about the different sort of iterations of punk. So you had that sort of New York, which was very artsy. You had LA punk, which became hardcore, that sort of real angry and energetic thrust.
Right.
You had the UK version of punk, which was a bit more melodic, even though it only had 3 chords, and one of them was always F bar. And then this is definitely, as you say, a bit different to that and a bit polished. It's not really fully punk, with that blues influence, which then took it, on a journey into other stuff as well. So, All Music said, the Gun Club's debut is the watermark for all post-punk roots music. This features the late Jeffrey Lee Pierce swamped-out brand of roiling rock, swaggerific hellbound blues, and gothic country. With Pierce's wailing high, lonesome slide guitar, twinned with Ward Dotson's spine-shaking riffs, and a solid yet off-the-rails rhythm section by bassist Rob Ritter and drummer Terry Graham, the Gun Club burst out of LA in the early 80s with a bone to pick and a mountain to move. And they accomplished both on their debut album. On Sexbeat, a razor-sharp country 1-2 shuffle becomes a howling wind as Pierce's wasted, half-sung, half-howled vocals relate a tale of voodoo, sex, dope, and death. The song Chugles, like a freight train. I never heard that word, Chugles, but there you go. It's lovely, isn't it? Yes. The freight train coming undone in a twister. Here, Black Flag the Sex Pistols, Son House, and the coughing, hacking, rambling ghost of Hank Williams all converge in a reckless mass of seething energy and nearly evil intent. Fire of Love may be just what the doctor ordered, but to cure or kill is anyone's guess. And Pitchfork, they said, what makes the Gun Club's 1981 debut Fire of Love so timeless isn't just that it set the stage for outlaw eccentrics like Pixies, John Spencer Blues Explosion, and the White Stripes, while providing Nick Cave with his post-birthday party roadmap into the swamp. It's an eternally captivating portrait of a young artist in their purest state, hungry, drunk on attitude, and committed to their vision to the point of seemingly supernaturally possessed. And Pop Matters wrote, this is in quotes, "Why are these songs not taught at schools?" So asked Jack White in 2008, citing Sex Beat, "She's like heroin to me," and For the Love of Ivy. Careful examination of them, as much of this fiery 1981 debut, which pioneered post-punk roots music, may provide a self-evident answer why impressionable tots may not want to be exposed to sex, drugs, and the promises of a third element added after the first two, death. But it all sounds like semi-grown-up fun. 10 tracks that wallop as exciting, entertaining, and evil as ever. And this album was also included in the book, 1,001 Albums You Must Hear Before Your Head Explodes. And here we are, the Gun Club. There's the kiddies. There we go. On the same page as, actually, Bauhaus Mask, which is a great album as well. If we go this way, making sure I'm still in the right year, Black Flag. Psychedelic First, Talk. Really disappointed in that album. I didn't rate it at all. Human League, Dare. Wonderful. OMD, Architecture and Morality. Eno and Byrne, My Life in the Bush of Ghosts. T'otherway, Bobby Womack, The Poet. I don't know that. I'm going to listen to that now. I don't know that one. Tom Tom Club. ABBA, The Visitors. Yeah. What a time to be alive. So we get to the lyrics, which are very interesting.
Aren't they?
Johnny's got a light in his eyes and Shelley's got a light on her lips. Jake's got a monkey shine on his head and Deborah Ann's got a tiger on her hips. They can twist and turn, they can move and burn, they can throw themselves against the wall, but they creep for what they need and they explode to the call. And then they move. Sex beat, go. They're stupid, like I told you. Very stupid, like you saw. Very stupid as the simple thought of ever thinking at all. And all their mind, all their souls, all their body, all we know, all the things that should make us whole. All the colourless security was all that someone could go. And move. Sex beat, drop. And yes, you do look cool. Inside the floodlights, so blue. You make my tropical apartment's bed your sacrificial pool. My body in the water and my heart is in your hand. So this is the way you choose to send me to the judgment land. So you can't move. Oh, sex beat, go. Now, I checked 3 different lyrical websites and they all agreed in the next line, and I disagree with them because it doesn't sound anything like that. So, and every day at 3. Now, in the lyrical website it says, and every day I agree, but it's up for debate. So every day at 3, you throw me down by the Christmas tree. I'll watch your lights blink on and off while you start your fun with me. I know your reasons, and I know your goals. We can fuck forever, but you will never get my soul. So you can move, so you can sex beat. Yeah, there's a lovely quote here that says that he, Pierce, took Robert Johnson and pre-war acoustic blues and punkified it. Up until then, bands were drawing heavily on Iggy and the Stooges and the New York Dolls, but he took it back so much further for inspiration. And I think that's the whole point of them sort of going back. It is a really, really decent album. I enjoy it. But even the second song on the album is let me just make sure. Preaching the Blues, which is a Robert Johnson cover. So it has got a great sound to this whole album. Yeah, just looking at She's Like Heroin to Me is another good song, and for the Love of Ivy, Ghost on the Highway, um, Cool Drink of Water Blues as well is an awesome song. And it's I don't think I'd listen to hours and hours upon it, but and a whole album is just about right. It's the same with the
Right.
Cramps as well. I wouldn't listen to days and days of it, but it really is interesting stuff. So the follow-up album, Miami, was released in '82. Pierce stated that he preferred Miami and dismissed Fire of Love, saying, "I can't even remember making it." What can you say about a record that you cut for $2,500, 48 hours, and on speed? It was just punk rock. Pierce's early musical interests were actually glam and progressive rock, including bands such as Sparks, Genesis, and Roxy Music. And during the mid 70s, after attending a concert by Bob Marley, Pierce became a fan of reggae.
Mm.
It was so much so that he even traveled to Jamaica, where he met Winston Rodney and others, but also, in quotes, got beat up there too, as he later recorded in an interview. As we said before, he was also an admirer of Debbie Harry of Blondie and became president of the band's West Coast fan club. He eventually became friends with Harry and Chris Stein. Blondie actually recorded the song Hanging on the Telephone in 1978 after Pierce gave Harry a cassette tape of the original 1976 version by an obscure California band called The Nerves.
Mm.
So there you go. Australian musician Spencer P. Jones, a sometime collaborator with Pierce, suggested later in 2014 that the blues influence in Pierce's music was largely a result of his access to the record collection of Canned Heat frontman Bob Haidt, who allowed
Mm.
Pierce to come to his house and choose 10 albums from Haidt's vast blues record collection as he was dying. There's
Wow.
just so many really
Yeah.
interesting stories about Jeffrey Pierce. His autobiography, Go Tell the Mountain, goes into detail about the personal turmoil that he experienced during the late 80s and early 90s. His health had been poor for some time, and the final Gun Club was called Lucky. The final Gun Club album was called Lucky Jim in 1993. So in late 1993, Pierce spent time with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds during the recording of their album Let Love In. It's the one with Red Right Hand. Mick Harvey, a former Bad Seeds member, recalled he was sat on a couch during much of the recording. He'd come in almost every day and just sit on the couch, and then he'd come out to dinner with us and just mumble away. He was very hard work. He was very unusual and a very unique guy.
Or as we call them, a character.
Yeah. In May '94, Pierce joined the band on stage during the Let Love In European tour, culminating in the show at Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, where he sang a cover of the Johnny Cash Bob Dylan song Wanted Man. And his
Mm.
last ever TV appearance was with the Bad Seeds on Later with Jules Holland, recorded on the 14th of May, 1994. In November '94, Pierce was arrested for brandishing a samurai sword in his local pub in Kensington, that's in London, after an argument. He was due in court early in '95, but flew instead to Japan, where he did some radio work and joined a Japanese band on stage until he was hospitalized after a mugging. So the luck just follows him around everywhere. Um, Pierce flew back to London in February to collect his belongings and then returned to the States, having been requested to leave England following his arrest and lack of visa. He returned to LA in '95. Pierce continued to work despite failing health and reformed a gun club lineup for a couple of shows in LA in August, September '95. Pierce contacted Powers in early '96 to work together on a new iteration of the gun club, and they began making plans with Powers looking to recruit musicians in New York. However, on March the 25th, 1996, Pierce was found unconscious at his father's home in Salt Lake City, Utah. He remained in a coma until his death from a cerebral hemorrhage on March the 31st,
Mm.
1996, at the University of Utah Hospital.
Damn.
A little footnote, in March 2012, so quite a number of years afterwards, Nick Cave gave an interview to Gun Club biographer Gene Tempsey, who was researching a book on the history of the Gun Club. Nick Cave noted Pierce's obsessions with the Vietnam War, dinosaurs, and Japanese horror movies. He said, "With Jeffrey, you pretty much entered his world when you saw him. His obsessions crawled all over him. But in Jeffrey's world, sometimes it was very inspiring and illuminating, and other times it was painful and depressing." But Jeffrey did make efforts to stay on top of all that sort of stuff. But I think it was very difficult for him. Jeffrey very often didn't make sense. That was part of his charm. Jeffrey was full of digressions. I think that was very much part of his character. Jeffrey digressed a lot. One minute he'd be talking about the fall of Saigon, then the next minute he'd be talking about the size of a dinosaur's brain. So, yeah, there are a lot of stories about Jeffrey Lee Pierce, how he was a bit difficult to work with and self-destructive, both personally and with the band as well, making strange decisions that sort of scuppered the potential success of Gun Club. But yeah, as you say, character, and pioneering in this sort of sound. And I think this is a really interesting song. And it struck me just as you were talking. I don't know why it hadn't struck me before, but the little similarities between this and you remember Pylon Danger, that song. A bit of that sort of that bending of notes and that sort of attitude, the sort of eeriness to it as well. But yeah, it's just a cool song. There you go.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening, Sandy. Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, do hit the like button and drop some comments. We'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on this song and on the Gun Club and the antics of Jeffrey Lee Pierce and all his fellow cohorts. Any sort of interesting stories or thoughts or opinions, we'd love to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel, and we're steadily trickling along day by day, adding to the total. So please come on board. That said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.